Howdy, howdy, Eternal Black here. We are in a Scharnhorst today. I had a rather exceptional game, at least for me, and I would like to share it with you. Here we are, Scharnhorst, in all of its wonderful, beautiful glory. A Tier 7 Premium. Has 9 283mm rifles. The dispersion is frustrating, and the penetration is frustrating, but they do consistent damage. They are excellent tools against cruisers and destroyers, and in general, as long as you play this ship right, it is very strong on all fronts. It can outgun whatever it can't outrun, and it can outrun everything it can't outgun. It looks pretty, right? It's so pretty. So here in the beginning, we have a rather nice spawn. We are right in the middle and right in the back, so we can choose to go pretty much wherever we want. Now, I'm choosing to go over here towards A, because A, we have cruiser support, B, we have destroyer support, and C, our carrier is on this side, so it's very likely that he'll be putting out planes to support this side. So this will be the side of the main push, and in this game I generally like to be a follower rather than a leader, because if I try to lead, generally people don't follow. I have a very hard time trying to actually play team-centered strategies. Like, okay, I'm no better, but it's very unlikely that people will be where they need to be in this game, especially at a relatively low tier. Tier 10, people still play selfishly, and it's still extremely hard to actually trust anyone to do what they're supposed to do, but it's okay. You're actually able to play around that as long as you play with the team rather than trying to lead the team, especially in a battleship. Here at A, we do see that there's a considerable amount of support that's aggregating here. We have 2 destroyers that are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Good on you, destroyers. And we have one single destroyer that is on the run. Now here I can see that clearly they don't need any more support right here at the front, so I'm going to do my best to actually go around and perhaps not do a full flank. I don't want to push in unless my friendlies are pushing in at the same time, but I can at the very least put some pressure on the Shiratsuyu if he decides to push up, or I can do some long range aggro that can possibly distract. Now the Scharnhorst armor is very forgiving. You have a 25mm bow that has a 70mm belt running across it, so really only the tip of your nose is vulnerable to anything 356mm and above, something like that. So you're still very vulnerable to pretty much all battleship fire, except for the Scharnhorst, funnily enough. But the okay, here's dispersion is just, well, whatever. It's not a cruiser. Don't expect to have a cruiser. Take hits like a boss, though. Look at that. Now, generally, it's bad practice to repair one fire, but I'm behind an island, and I'm going to have a fair amount of time to recover, and I'm actually pretty confident against this destroyer. I don't know why I got my big britches on, but repairing one fire seemed like a good idea at the time. Now, my Scharnhorst is a complete secondary build Scharnhorst. I have advanced firing training, basic firing training, manual secondaries, IFAG, the works. So you're going to see an excellent example of the German secondaries just going ham on some of these things. Now, the DD here is doing a bad play. He's trying to chase me. Now the Scharnhorst is quick and it has great maneuverability. So, and a destroyer chasing a Scharnhorst of all things is probably not going to work out very well for you. So that's that. We protected our flank. That's one destroyer dead. Now our teammates down here are kind of melting a little bit, and that's a bit of an issue. So I have a decision to make here. I can either A, charge up in here and do my best to support my friendlies danger close, or I can continue doing what I was doing and continue to protect our flank, harass, provide aggro, and hopefully distract. Now, that Shiratsuyu kind of messed up my whole distract plan. It kind of put me in a really passive position here, and I'm not able to tank anything for my teammates, so they're just dropping like flies, unfortunately. But that's okay, because this is a Scharnhorst, and you can work around pretty much anything. So, it's extremely tempting in all German battleships to just charge in, to take the cap and damn the torpedoes and just, you know, put out fire on every side and go out in a blaze of glory every time. And don't get me wrong, it is an absolute hoot to do it sometimes. But Kurfürsts are expensive, especially if you're playing with premium consumables, and especially if you don't have premium time like I do, and I'm not a millionaire, I work on a budget. You know, work with what you got. So we are moving in closer. I make the decision I could go after the New Mexico, could go after the enemy Scharnhorst, but that is just digging right into the middle of the enemy. I don't want to do that. I want to pick out from the end. Start at the ends first. You don't want to charge the middle. That is just, you'll get concentrated more and more. Now, the Scharnhorst has reasonable velocity on its guns. On a thin ship like the Miyoko, you're going to see a rather tragic tragedy here. Reload. Come on. Four overpens. Yeah. 5 overpens. Disgusting. So those should have been citadels and they're not. But that's not going to happen every time. Thankfully, again, I have a secondary build with IFHE, and I'm able to just chew through his armor. God, I love the secondary mechanic in this game. Now, then I decide to break off contact from the Miyoko because he is running away. He's not really going to be an issue for much longer, and I have a much bigger issue coming in close. It's very important you stay aware of your surroundings and the enemies that are surrounding you. So, a New Mexico turns like it doesn't turn. It doesn't even turn like a truck, and it's a big, heavy, fat battleship. So, the torps I put out, very likely to hit. Gonna get there very quickly, and gonna make very short work of this New Mexico here. 1, 2, boop. That's all it takes. Now, my team has completely melted and I'm alone here, so I have to be very careful about how I calculate. Being alone, especially in a battleship, is not good news, no matter how you count it. Let's see, the Miyoko, he can pepper me from afar and set me on fire, but with my trajectory, I'm currently moving away from him. It's very, well, there's that. Very unlikely I'll actually be able to land shots, so best I can do at the moment is put some distance between myself and him, and see what I can do about closer. Alright, so let's see how we're doing here. The penetration of the 283s, again, can be frustrating sometimes, especially, but again, I'm shooting against an enemy Scharnhorst, and the Scharnhorst has, I think, 350 millimeters of belt armor, which is just ridiculous for a ship this size. Even the Kurfürst, if I remember correctly, only has 380. So for a tier 7, you know, battleship with basically fat cruiser guns, you know, having that much armor is useful. So, excuse me. Now, I might be alone, but this enemy Scharnhorst is alone too. So, we have, unfortunately, a fair fight. I don't like fair fights. Ooh, that was a good one. So, you see where I aimed there? I aimed actually just above. Let's see if I zoom in. Nah, whatever. But I aimed not at the thick belt here, but I aimed above it. Now, vertical dispersion in this game is much better than horizontal dispersion. Your shells will shoot left and right, and it's, you know, it sucks. But generally speaking, it's much more likely for the shells to hit where you want, as long as your elevation is correct. So if you're able to aim above that fat armor belt there and get some shells here into the more brittle top belt, and especially up here into the deck armor is, I don't remember the deck armor, in another fire rifle. That is one of the problems you're going to have in German battleships, is you get set on fire a lot. and basic firing training on this ship is probably not the best idea. I think I already said that. So here we go. We are experiencing a 2v1, which is kind of an unfair fight. But that's okay, because again, we're in a Scharnhorst. Now, you're going to see the beauty of the Scharnhorst guns, or perhaps just the absolute garbage armor of the Pensacola, but watch this. I'm waiting to try to get a better shot, but it just doesn't come. These weren't the worst torps in the world. It did what it was supposed to. Well, no, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to hit, but no big loss. Go every hit. 400, 500. Goodbye. Charging a Scharnhorst and a cruiser, that's, as the Mighty Jingles would say, that's a paddling. Now, I do not want to get close to that Farragut. Farragut torps are a serious issue. Their range is not very far, but you do not want to charge a destroyer in any battleship, even if it's a short-range torp destroyer and you're in a relatively strong battleship like the Scharnhorst. So here at range, again, this is kind of a mono-e-mono fight. I have almost twice the HP he does, so I'm not really worried about this. But it's still important to keep your angle. Now, I do kind of run into an issue here. I cannot keep running back. I cannot keep running to the Fuso. I'm sorry, to the Yuho. So I actually am going to have to go full broadside here, and I do pay for it heavily. But it is a payoff. And here we go. I actually zoom out to see the hits. But bam. So that's almost 10k right there. And you know, I only had 19k left. But it's okay, I still have twice the health the enemy Scharnhorst does, and I'm getting into secondary range, which will allow my IFHE shells to start raining down some pain. Now, this Miyoko is making a horrible mistake. This Miyoko decided it was a good idea to get into closer range with the Scharnhorst. Japanese cruisers are kiters. They are not supposed to charge. The torps on a Japanese cruiser are arranged that way for a reason. You're supposed to be running away from whatever it is you're shooting at, and you're supposed to drop torps to anything that's following you, similar to what I did with New Mexico earlier. And this is not smart. This is not smart, Miyoko. But I can't remember how these shots turned out. See? Citadel. Happens from time to time. And there's my Kraken. Now, here is kind of a thing. Now, we are two battleships and a CV against one destroyer and a CV. The enemy has two caps, we have one, and the points are pretty much in a dead heat. Continuing the way we are, we will lose. Now, a battleship is not optimal to go destroyer hunting in, and I'm really hoping that he will have just gone to C, and the Fuso and I will be able to meet up at B and do what we gotta do. In the meantime, I'm going to take A just to stop the point bleed. I'm going to speed this up a little bit here. Excuse me. So, well, basically the game ends here pretty much. So let's go ahead and skip towards the end. Yep, there goes the enemy Farragut. Good job, Fuso. Now that's that. Alright, this is my Scharnhorst. I'm going to show you the build for it. Main armaments mod 1, because you will lose guns. I lost a gun in that last game, even with this thing, and strictly speaking, these are your bread and butter, so keep that. This doesn't matter. This secondary Battery Mod 2, it would probably be better, but the Scharnhorst also has torpedoes. So if I'm getting in close enough with an enemy battleship or an enemy cruiser to use my secondary battery, that extra 20%, I should have more control over my distance with the enemy to where I don't need that extra 20%, and having that extra dispersion helps. Having that against a destroyer is shaky as far as how beneficial it is at best. And steering gears mod 2 for torpedo beats. Dam control system mod 2 is not bad either because you are on fire so often. Captain skills: preventative maintenance, adrenaline rush, basic firing training, advanced firing training, IFHE, manual control for secondary armament, and direction center. Go away. So that's good, that's good. The only reason I have basic firing training, honestly, is because I have a drill sergeant in my head saying, how are you going to have advanced firing training and not have your basic firing training? But honestly speaking, basics of survivability would probably be better because, again, you are on fire so often. And direction center for catapult aircraft because it's kind of an extra layer of torpedo protection. Honestly, this would be better, but captain skills are in short supply. So that was my Scharnhorst captain. This is the Eternal Black signing off.